though.
That's right. It makes you feel a little better.
Hang on one second. All right, let's go. Bismillah.
I want their leader brought here. I want him brought to me. I want the revolution crushed.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Mamluks. My name is Sim. Along with me is my co-host, Sheikh Amer.
Assalamu alaikum.
And the one and only Mort.
Assalamu alaikum.
We have a special guest who's also joining us. If I can get to the right screen here.
Very special guest.
There he is. The one and only Nader Tabata. Looking lean and handsome. Whew.
Lean and clean.
Amen.
What have you been doing? What's the secret, Nader?
Judo in Ramadan.
Judo?
Really? You've been doing judo?
I've been doing judo for like 8 months. But doing judo during Ramadan killed me. So that's what helped big time.
MashaAllah, you looking good, man. I can see the weight off.
I'm trying to cut it, man. Last time I fought in the blind division, and they go by kilos in judo. So in regular judo, like when you could see, the highest you get is 100 kilos. In blind judo, highest you can get is 90 kilos. So I had to get under 90 kilos because when I fought a dude that was like 350 pounds. You know what I mean? I was like, nah, I'm not beat for that. So
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
Wow.
That's crazy. So I'm curious, man. Like, I'm kind of dumb with this. So explain like blind judo to me. Like, you just gotta listen to like the airwaves or something. Like someone's gonna come by
touching,
and
bro. It's all touching.
I don't know.
What do you mean?
I don't know. Like, because I heard
judo,
blind people got like
grappling, right?
enhanced hearing or something, right? So
No.
It's not Daredevil, bro.
like
grappling,
spidey senses.
Right? Judo is all about grappling, right? So so in blind judo, you start with grips, right? You start grappling each other when you're doing blind judo.
Okay, I got it. So you
That's
can
the
feel them out.
difference,
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about
So
just
you can
sensing the
literally
movement. You ever seen
start
blind jujitsu?
there.
People do blind
No, I
jujitsu.
haven't
It's
seen
amazing.
blind. That's why I'm
It's
asking the
amazing.
question.
There's
bro.
some blind people who are black belts in
I'm
jiu-jitsu
sure
and
there
judo.
are, bro. I'm just saying I
Yeah.
don't know it.
There's a brother I know who's a black belt in both. He's a black belt in judo and in judo and in jiu-jitsu because they're very similar disciplines. You know what I'm saying?
So how do they feel? Because you're like technically like legally blind, right? You're like fully blind. So is that like a disadvantage for the guy that's fully blind?
No, they have like partial and they have total.
Oh,
too.
okay.
They have
All right.
different levels. Too,
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Because I was gonna
the
say it's
thing
kind of
is,
unfair for the partial and the full, right? It's kind of like an unfair thing.
Well,
you
this
know?
is the thing. Most of the time, whenever I fight or whenever we fight, it's I'm fighting against sighted people, right? It's very rare whenever you fight against blind people.
Yeah.
That only comes up on national tournaments, right? Like USA Judo recognized national tournaments. So generally, I'm fighting against sighted people, and yes, they have a disadvantage. 100% they have a disadvantage. You know, they can see my footwork. I can't see their footwork. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's a big advantage that they have. But I'm telling you right now, there's no better feeling than choking a man out and making him submit. No better feeling. None. Zero.
Wow. Actually, I wasn't sure about that. So judo actually has chokes too?
Yeah.
Wow,
Yep.
that's so
Chokes,
cool.
Submissions.
Submissions I knew about. I didn't know about actual choking. Like, that's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, the gi and the lapel. Yeah. You could use that.
Yep.
Jiu-jitsu's based off
Next
of
time
that
I come
too.
up, we'll do a clinic.
Yeah,
I'll teach
please.
you guys some stuff.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice.
All right,
But-
Shabab, we got a lot on the table. What do you guys want to start off with?
I don't know. I was just thinking that Nader practices jujitsu and Israel practices jujitsu.
No,
That's a good one.
I practice judo.
Yeah, judo. And they practice jujitsu.
Yeah.
Judo.
Some guy comes up to Nader. He said he wanted to do jiu-jitsu, and I took it personally.
That's anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
Can't say Jew
He
in the
said-
house. Yeah.
He said Jew. You can't say that. You
How
can't
dare
say
a Palestinian say Jew?
that. How dare you? I'm a Palestinian. I can't say that one.
Yeah, so we got a lot
on the plate.
docket.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what are we starting off with?
I don't know. We saw Dune the other
Yes.
weekend. How did you guys feel about that?
Oh,
We
this
saw
was
Imam
cool.
Mahdi coming on Dune,
Yeah.
the movie.
What was the name?
Dune Part 2.
It wasn't called. What was the exact term they called them though?
Yeah, he's called the Mahdi.
Al-Mahdi.
Al-Mahdi.
Yeah, they call Al-Mahdi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool though. I
Yeah.
mean,
Mort fell asleep halfway into it.
I always fall asleep, especially like right now. These days, I've been so busy with everything. By 10 o'clock, 10:30, bro, I'm just beat tired. Like, because at my days now, lately, I've been starting at 5 o'clock in the morning. Wow. So it's just been like
No naps either?
No, I don't
Oh,
nap.
wow.
If I nap, bro, I'll be awake. I'll be awake till all night. I mean, I can't nap.
Mashallah, bro.
Yeah, so like 5 a.m. my day starts, and then by like 10:30, like I'm beat. Like I gotta get to bed. So it's been tough for me. I haven't really been able to watch much. But anyways, yeah. So, but I was telling you while we were watching the movie, that guy who I follow on YouTube, whose name is Let's Talk Religion, he had a series, or I mean a video, I shouldn't say series, a video on how the author of the original Dune books and all that, you know, the script itself and the background behind it, had heavy influence from the Middle East and Islam, because he spent time in, I think it was Egypt or
Iraq.
Right.
He actually was Iraqi, right?
No, he wasn't. He got inspired. Like Iraq is the planet.
Yeah.
It's names that, or people.
And
make
Iraqi, like
the
like
similarity
that.
with Iraq.
Yeah, but so he draws in that video a lot of parallels between like Islam and thoughts within like Middle Eastern culture to Dune, and then you got to see it like when you hear that, and then you kind of
there's so many Islamic references in Dune or borrowed from Islam that they actually had to pull it, make it downplay it in the movie.
de-Islamicize it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
They
like
did.
even
what did they do?
the
'Cause
wars
I
are
didn't
called
watch it, I
jihad.
didn't read the books. What did they do?
I mean, like for example, the word jihad is completely removed. Much like how religious scholars in current Islam have done.
But I think in their sense, they just didn't want to
I
offend
know.
Muslims, right?
Right. They want
Over here, a lot of Muslim scholars, they actually are ashamed.
Yeah, so like
What is that?
at the end of the movie, she says, "So this is a holy war." It's supposed to be like this is a jihad. Yeah.
But I found that concept really interesting about how when they die, the desert people, like they become water, and they put it like in this giant like septic or whatever, or holding tank for water. It's like millions of gallons of water to bring vegetation back to the desert.
Yeah.
Or in the right time, right? And it kind of reminds me because like it's kind of a weird thing, because it's kind of like how when you make ghusl and like you're getting ready, you're washing your impurity away, and now, but like the idea is that you're kind of like it's weird because like the martyrs, they kind of give that reference to me was like, okay, they give life to revolutions, right? Martyrs will always, give life to the causes, right?
That was a cool
That's
part.
kind of like I draw a parallel with like that water is like the martyrs' sacrifice, where now they can inhabit the land now from it. The plan is in the end they're gonna have this state where they can now take benefit of it because the martyrs sacrifice themselves.
Yeah.
They use their water. In our case, we use their blood. I mean, in the sense that their blood soaks the land, and their effort is how we establish a state, the mujahid, right? In their case, they become water, and then they can, I guess, vegetate the desert. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of different similarities, and I just I didn't get a chance to just really sit down and kind of comb through every reference, but maybe one of these days we'll do an episode with a Dune expert, because I know there are, like, for example, a previous guest of ours, Jerry Hionis, he's a huge Dune fan.
Really?
Yeah, that was actually one of his ways of how he entered Islam, I think. His early...
Really?
Wow.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah. So it's so cool how there's so many different avenues in Islam and stuff, of people entering Islam through different ways. And one of the things that I learned over time is that even though, like, we see some of these weird types of branches, they're not even branches, they're just weird people out there on Instagram, and somehow there's a couple people who, I'm not saying that it makes it right, okay, don't put words in my mouth, I'm just saying it's strange how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes these strange interpretations conduits for people to actually get onto the real Islam.
Yeah.
You know, because like for example, let's just put out the LGBT type Islam, right? Sometimes they'll go. I'm not going to say everyone, but there's going to be a couple stragglers who like tag onto that, and they find out, hey, you know what? Let me just dig in deeper, and they meet more Muslims, and they're like, you know what? I don't want to be part of this kind of interpretation. I want to be part of mainstream Islam, right?
You know who mentioned this thing in a different way though? AAA a long time ago. He mentioned that sometimes there are people, even like he mentioned a story about one of his people in his congregation that he came to Islam because he actually used to get high with the Muslims in the bench, and they started just randomly talking about Islam while they were high.
I remember that story.
Yeah, and then basically so the story is, you never know who Allah uses as his means of conveying something. If Allah intends to guide somebody, it could be the most weirdest like LGBTQ guy who mentions just the word
there's
Islam.
a community of Muslims of LGBTQ that actually denounce people who say that the LGBTQ lifestyle is halal. They say it's haram and it's your fitna.
No, I'm saying
we're not talking about those kids.
I'm saying
those are still Orthodox.
they're Muslim.
We're talking about like the weirdos, the people who build the mosques that are gay mosques.
Yeah,
right?
like,
those type of people.
Oh, by the way,
I'm not saying we're not saying that that's okay. That they should be doing it, but it's just strange how sometimes things work out that way.
I know.
But alhamdulillah, by the way, just side note, shout out to the Chicago community. Alhamdulillah, that masjid that was a gay mosque, it shut down because they didn't have any funding.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah,
that's
so
awesome.
they were like, something they call it sunsetting. We were sunsetting the masjid because we just don't have. Yeah, but so
we're sunsetting
sunsetting is like used for applications, right? It's like we're sunsetting this application this year. We really need to fix this.
Yeah, I forgot what it's called. I think it was Mosque Arabia, I think it was called.
Yeah,
it was downtown downtown Chicago, but yeah, alhamdulillah they closed. But anyways, but yeah, I mean, you never know who's going to be a conduit, like he mentioned, for Islam. Like sometimes you'll have even people who are full blown like LGBTQ, totally loud. Yeah, you can be taking up the bum being Muslim, right? That kind of stuff, and they still end up researching Islam themselves. Like something, Allah uses that as an entry point.
Yeah.
And then, no pun intended, but and then they just basically use that to explore Islam and find out what the truth is for themselves.
Did you guys watch that interview with Dilly and Imran Hussein?
I didn't have a chance to.
He's like the conspiracy theorist.
I just saw clips of it.
Yeah, I mean, just for you who don't know, I consider him to be the Alex Jones of our ummah. Not to say I'm disrespecting him, but he says some very outlandish things, and
he says some really cool things too.
Yeah, and some very cool things.
Imran Hussein?
But Imran Hussein. And one thing to note about him though is that he's in a very tricky position. For those who don't know, who are not familiar with him, he has branded himself as like the Islamic scholar of eschatology, so Akhir Zaman. So he said, I've done the research for decades and years, and really there's no one else like me out there to do this. I put the work into it. So he has his interpretations about what certain signs mean and how to understand them. And by the way, by no means does he say anybody who disagrees with him is a kafir or anything like that. No, he openly says that I could be wrong, I could be this. Some of it's very outlandish for us, but some of it is on point. So
yeah. Like for example, he thinks Putin.
I think in that interview, I think is where you're going. I know one of that is like he said, don't call Christians kuffar.
Yeah.
Christians.
Yeah.
Well, he's very specific about Eastern Christianity, like Orthodox, and he thinks that like the Orthodox specifically Russian Orthodox, are going to be allies of the Muslims against like in al-Malhama.
Really?
Yeah. He thinks that they're going to be, and like the jihad is not like an individual; it's a system. It's like a culmination of things, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
So speaking of conduits, you have that conduit, right? You have that Imran Hussein type. There's people who are like very huge into conspiracy theories among Muslims.
Right.
That's their thing. I'm not going to hate them for it because there's a lot of truth in it. There's no more falsehood that they have that the mainstream media has.
Right.
Like to me, like it's like foolish to make fun of them when like the mainstream media has just as much of crap. Among them.
Yeah.
So to me, it's just like they're people who are trying to think out of the box, and I kind of grew up in that stuff too, in that world when I was listening to Alex Jones when he was young, way back when InfoWars was just a website, and he had he used to come on Coast to Coast, and he'd have like all kinds of different interactions.
Yeah, see, the thing about this is that, and I want to be fair, there's a lot of truth to what a lot of these people say. The problem is sometimes they mix that truth with interpretations and assumptions and other ideas, and it gets all, it's convoluted, right?
Yeah.
So, and what they say is the best. I guess I don't want to call them lies, but the best misunderstandings are the ones that are mixed with truth. Because you can say, "Oh, look at this. This is right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. So he must be right about this."
It's got
right?
the cloak in the cover.
Right. So kind of, you can kind of see why people would gravitate to it. And then also there's an element of people wanting to believe that these things happen.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this is not just about Islam. Like, even about, like, global New World Order stuff, and like, I mean, like, for example, like, for me, I'll give you a small example. Like, when people say Jews control everything, I don't believe that, right? But when they make arguments, there's very real cases, areas where it's true. Like, for example, are they overrepresented? Yes. Do they have a lot of power in banking? Yes. Do they control a lot of Hollywood? Yes. Right? There's a lot of things that are true about that, right? But does that mean that they actually have absolute control over the entire world? I think that's a leap, right? Like, I think that it's more about decisions, that it's more complicated than that. Meaning, right, there's politicians who have interest, who are aligning interest.
I would say Zionists control the world.
Yeah, I mean, Zionists, even Zionists themselves, like, they still have to barter. I
think Zionists control the world because they control all the politicians, right?
So, but it's still an exchange, right, Nader?
Right?
Like,
yeah. And so that's not Jews, right? That's anyone that's a Zionist.
So Nader, if that's true, then why is the Israeli Mossad chief pressuring the ICC judge in dropping its charge, the ICC prosecutor in its court case?
Allegedly threatening, right?
Yeah, he threatened her, right?
It's not even just him. It was the old one too, the old prosecutor. It's other members of the ICC too.
Yeah.
I think I read one of them was saying, it's like, listen, you should drop this, or there may be some security issues for you coming.
So I think that we have to actually differentiate, because when people say control, there's a few understandings of control. One is that they control, meaning that they bully everybody, or that they have dirt on people to make them sway certain things, or the actual absolute of control is that whatever they say goes, and there's no one to challenge them. I don't think anybody says whatever the Jews say goes to challenge them. I think that they have their feet wet in everything.
Yeah,
Zionist. I'm going to say Zionist. Yes, I meant to say Zionist. But but what ends up happening is their Zionists have obviously sunk their talons and their fangs within every industry. Where it counts, where it matters, not complete control over it, but they can't. Like, have you heard of anybody calling and threatening a prosecutor of the ICC? That's almost blasphemous.
So let me tell you, I think influence is the right word.
Influence, yes,
because control is something and the reason why I'm saying we have to make a distinction is because there are people who actually believe that. Like, and by the way, it's not just Zionists. People say Jews, right? Because Zionist can be a non-Jew. A Zionist can be. That's what I'm saying. Exactly. But it's very. But hold on, Nader. The Muslim Zionist doesn't have any power. The Christian Zionist doesn't have any power, right?
Actually, Christian Zionists.
No. The Christian Zionists got a lot of power.
No, bro. They have money that they are able to do things. But who are they really appealing to? They're appealing to the Jewish Zionists. Independently, the Christian Zionist has no power. The Jewish gives him the power. The Jewish Zionist gives him the power. Independently, they don't have power.
Don't they both working together give the idea of power?
Zionists that are bolstering the Jewish Zionists.
So listen, right? Christian Zionism is based on the fact that Jews have to be upheld and they have to be supported, right? Yeah. And the Jews take advantage of that. They direct things. The Christian Zionist has no idea what Israel needs. They just know we want to give them money. They don't know what most of these Christian Zionists who go to the church and just say, "Oh, hallelujah, Jesus, we love Israel, we love." They have no idea about this politics.
Yeah.
They don't. Israel dictates this stuff down to them.
Exactly.
Right. So my point is that they don't actually have power. Israel gives them the power because they acknowledge them by doing this. But if look, for example, if Jewish Zionists come out tomorrow and say, you know what, that Christian Zionist church is something anti-Semitic, there's no way that Zionist church could challenge a Jewish Zionist. No way.
Yeah.
They'd have to be on their hands and knees.
But what do we say about?
So what I'm saying is, hold on, this is very important. What I'm saying is that not all Zionists are the same. It's very specific. Jewish Zionists are the ones that have the influence. Not the Hindu Zionists, not the Christian Zionists, not the Muslim Zionists, not the atheist Zionists. The Jewish Zionist has the influence. So we have to be very clear about this.
Most Jewish Zionists are atheist Zionists.
Yeah, we can say that, yeah. But I mean, what I'm saying is, when I'm saying Jewish, I'm using it as an ethno-religious group, right? Yeah. In their mind. But so my point, why is this important? What I'm saying, because what I'm trying to say is that in the end, right, it's the influence we talk about, and I guess we can say the influences for whatever reasons, by blackmail, by money, by being overrepresented in the field, but they still have to work with politicians, and there's a concession that's made. Politicians will have a choice. They'll say, okay, I can say no, but I'm going to lose my career, or I might get exposed, or I might have a loss of finance. And so he makes a conscious decision to say, yes, master. Right? It's not like they can dictate down and say, you do this. The Zionists don't know for sure if that person is going to be on board or not, because he may have a change of heart. Right? Because at the end of the day, it's still an agreement between them, and one could pull out. Right? So what I'm saying is that you have to separate control from influence, and they certainly do influence American politicians, foreign politicians, musicians, Hollywood, you name it. I mean, this scumbag Robert De Niro came out like out of nowhere. The first guy was bashing Trump, and now he comes out and says they're fighting for the war of their life. They have to eradicate all these people. Right? I mean, that's influence. Right? Someone called.
I didn't know Robert De Niro.
Yeah, he came out with a statement.
When did he say that?
Oh, recently, just recently came out. I'll find it.
He came out for Biden before. I saw that one today. Like, he was out in the streets saying, "No, we can't let Trump back in because democracy."
And he is anti-Trump. But he's pro-Zionist.
I'm sure he is.
Yeah, and so he basically said that Israel has to eradicate these people, right? Simply parroting the stuff. But what I'm saying is, this is influence. Robert De Niro probably thinks, you know what, I'm in Hollywood, I say something, if I go against this narrative, well, there goes a lot of my movies, my royalties, whatever, blah, 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 future projects. They're not going to, there's an influence there. We can't deny that, right? But it's very different than control, because control means that I'm telling you what to do. And it's not that, I wish it was that black and white, but it's not. People are making conscious decisions, violating their morality, to make a decision to support a murderous genocidal entity. No one forced. At the end, just like we all have choices to say, we cannot talk about Israel today and just talk about other stuff and not worry about getting heat on a podcast or potentially getting kicked off YouTube. We can make a choice not to do that.
So
right?
Just did some fact checking. De Niro did not yell at Palestinian protesters. He was yelling at Trump protesters.
But no. It's not there was actually a statement. I'll find it.
Okay.
It's not the yelling part. That's not what I'm talking about. But I'll find it. Anyways, if I'm wrong, I'll correct it. I know I came across it on the news feed, but I'll check it. But my point being is that these people are making choices to support or not support something. And supporting and not supporting all come with risk, right? Every decision in life, it has pros and cons. But they've weighed them out, and they feel that it's okay to justify genocide for whatever personal interest they have. So that's why I want to make a distinction between control and influence.
Yeah. I kind of got into the thing where I stopped watching a lot of like the discourse and debates, especially the Piers Morgans and like the Pat Bet Davids, that dude Adam, and that dude is constant. Like, it's so much stupidity that is repeating the same thing over and over again for the past 8 months. It just.
Well, no, what I learned most, Sheikh, is that we end up finding out these people and their true colors. We find out their true colors after supporting them and liking them and following their content. I'm like, oh, you know what? You're a scumbag inside. Like, it was all BS to begin with.
But so, one question I had, like, how many percent? What are the percentage of people do you think actually believe Israel propaganda to actually be real? Like, got suckered into it?
It doesn't matter to me now whether you believe it or not. It's so, the evidence is so out there, so blatant. You have even Piers Morgan now backpedaling and condemning Netanyahu and stuff. So it's at this point where you are an ultimate coward. You have deep interests with Israeli money, where you have conflicts of interest, where you don't want to say anything to upset the wrong people, because that does carry consequences, right? Yes. Speaking up against the Zionism, against Zionists and Zionism in general will cause, especially in the celebrity world, people who carry a lot of weight and influence will lose money.
Yeah.
And our job, at least as Muslims, is to show that, hey, you support them, you're going to lose money from us. Yeah. And that's what I was telling my daughter the other day. She was like, you know what, I know a friend of a friend who has connections with the McDonald's and with the legal teams and everything, and they don't support Israel and etc. They have all these. She made a huge case for it, and I'm like, that's not what this is about. This is about showing America the consequences of supporting Israel. The McDonald's, Starbucks, Baskin Robbins, everything that you see in Mecca and Medina and across the Muslim world, all these symbols of America should feel the heat for supporting for supporting a genocide. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You don't get to come and make money off of us, and even though there's a strong case to be made that we have the ability to make take military action against Israel, but put that aside. We don't have control over that. That's the government, right? But as Muslims, as individuals, we have the power over where we spend our money, right?
Yeah.
And the only way we can do that is by spending our money towards anything that is not American, not Israeli, any country that's supporting or doing business or being a participant in genocide. We'll make sure our money doesn't go in that direction. We can make sure that our the likes and even the liking of content on social media, we can direct our energy towards appropriate areas. These are all just different ways of how we can express with whatever means we have, right? And show our solidarity.
I think the pressure has been felt. If you look, I don't know if you guys saw, but McDonald's corporate bought all of the McDonald's
back.
In
Israeli territory.
Yeah. So why don't you explain what happened, Nader?
So because of the pressure of the Muslim boycott, right, against the BDS expansion, not just Muslim. What am I talking about? Just Muslim. Just everyone that stood up against the apartheid genocidal regime, right? Because of the pressure, McDonald's corporate went, and because it was all the McDonald's in Israel was owned by one guy, like one company, and they went and they bought all of the McDonald's from them. They bought all of them. Wow. Because of the pressure, right? And that action wouldn't have happened if we didn't put the pressure on them, right?
Yeah.
If we didn't hurt their pockets, if their revenues weren't going down, if every time they have their their investor meeting, right? Like every quarter, don't they have like an investor meeting every
Yep.
big corporation? Yeah. If their revenue was down quarter after quarter after quarter, all because we're saying we're not gonna buy a McChicken sandwich or a McFish or whatever the hell, because we know you guys support the Zionist state, right? That's what made them decide to go in and buy up all of these things, so that the owners of the McDonald's franchise in the occupied Palestinian territory, that's what we should really all call it, really. You know what I mean? In that area, they don't go and give McDonald's meals to IDF soldiers anymore, because now they can't. They don't own it anymore. You know what I mean?
I think it's just best now.
Wow.
So this is CNBC. McDonald's will buy all 225 restaurants from Israeli franchise following a Palestinian boycott fallout. So yeah, they're feeling the heat. Anyone who said boycotts,
so it's okay to get McDonald's fries again, guys. It's okay.
No, it's not okay. It's
still not okay. I'm sorry. It's still not okay.
No, it's where we have to show the consequences, and we have to make Muslim money felt, right?
Yeah.
Not just Muslim money, but injustice money, anti-genocide money. I don't know what you want to call it, but anyone who's against apartheid, genocide, extermination, ethnic cleansing, you have to make yourself known. And how else are you going to make it known? By making these kinds of economic hits be felt, you know?
It's impact.
It's impact.
Yeah. This economic impact is going to hurt their wallets, and that's the only thing that makes the world move, right?
And then these guys are the ones who have the phone call. They have the red phone. Remember with Batman and Commissioner Gordon, they had this red phone. They would call each other. They had that red phone where they would pick it up and talk to the White House and say, "Hey, when the hell is this war going to end? We're hurting here. You got to do something, Biden." You know.
Yeah.
Come on, Genocide Joe, turn off the genocide.
Yeah. So back to the Israeli spy chief,
prosecutors and stuff.
Yeah. Here we go. Revealed. The Guardian reports Israeli spy chief threatened ICC prosecutor over war crimes inquiry. Former head of Mossad, Israeli Foreign Intelligence Agency, allegedly threatened a chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court in a series of secret meetings in which he tried to pressure her into abandoning a war crimes investigation, the Guardian can reveal. Yossi Cohen, covert contacts with the ICC then prosecutor Fatou Bensouda took place in the years leading up to her decision to open a formal investigation into alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity in occupied Palestinian territories. That investigation, launched in 2021, culminated last week when Bensouda's successor, Karim Khan, announced that he was seeking an arrest warrant for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu over the country's conduct in its war in Gaza. The prosecutor's decision to apply to the ICC's pretrial chamber for arrest warrants for Netanyahu and his defense minister Yoav Gallant, along with 3 Hamas leaders, is an outcome Israel's military and political establishment has long feared. Cohen's personal involvement in the operation against the ICC took place when he was director of Mossad. His activities authorized at a high level and justified on the basis the court posed a threat of prosecutions against military personnel, according to a senior Israeli official. Another Israeli source briefed on the operation against Bensouda said the Mossad's objective was to compromise the prosecutor or enlist her as someone who could cooperate with Israel's demands. A third source familiar with the operation said Cohen was acting as Netanyahu's unofficial messenger. Cohen was one of Netanyahu's closest allies at the time and is emerging as a political force in his own right in Israel. Personally led the Mossad's involvement in an almost decade-long campaign by the country to undermine the court. 4 sources confirmed that Bensouda had briefed a small group of senior ICC officials about Cohen's attempt to sway her, amid concerns about the increasingly persistent and threatening nature of his behavior. 3 of those sources were familiar with Bensouda's formal disclosures to the ICC about the matter. They said she revealed Cohen had put pressure on her on several occasions not to proceed with the criminal investigation in the ICC's Palestine case. According to accounts shared with ICC officials, he is alleged to have told her, you should help us and let us take care of you. You don't want to be getting into things that could compromise your security or that of your family." Oh, wow.
Yeah.
The security of your family.
That's exactly what I was talking about.
That's like mafioso.
So former.
It's like a mafia.
It's straight up mafia.
There's going to be no ramifications for this guy.
No, they won't.
No
Why?
ramifications.
Because if you say something about them, it's anti-Semitic. They're going to say this is blood libel. This is typical European blood libel, anti-Semitic rhetoric.
So convenient.
Yeah.
So convenient.
The cry of anti-Semitism. And I'm telling you that this is what I was saying months ago. I was saying that the only way for Israel to lose its power is for the world not to be cared about being labeled an anti-Semite.
And we're there. Bro, we're there.
Yeah.
If we're not there, we're close to there.
Like, I'll be honest, if you call somebody a racist today, no one cares.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now they've used the term anti-Semitic so much and so liberally. That's it. Nobody cares anymore, bro.
Yeah.
So let me doesn't mean anything.
You know what I want to see? I want to see someone walk up to Michael Rappaport and go, "You effing," you know what I mean? Like, just right to his face and say, "What are you gonna do about it?"
People already canceling him. He's supposed to come to tour to Chicago, and they're telling they're raising awareness and not buy his tickets because he's coming to Chicago.
I think we should all buy all the tickets and go over this raise Palestinian flags in the audience. Just buy the whole damn thing out.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. His whole show would be looking at the Palestinian flag.
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, bro, you're literally giving him a bunch of money to put in his pocket.
Yeah, but I mean, it's priceless for that to get his annoyance. I mean, imagine how like he would feel. Like this guy would be crying about it for decades.
He's kind of a nobody.
All right, hang on. Let me finish this because
go ahead.
The Mossad also took a keen interest in Bensouda's family members and obtained transcripts of secret recordings of her husband, according to two sources with direct knowledge of the situation. Israeli officials then attempted to use the material to discredit the prosecutor. The revelations about Cohen's operation form part of a forthcoming investigation by The Guardian, the Israeli-Palestinian publication Plus 972 magazine, and the Hebrew language outlet Local Call, revealing how multiple Israeli intelligence agencies ran a covert war against the ICC for almost a decade. Contacted by The Guardian, a spokesperson for Israel's Prime Minister's office said, "The questions forwarded to us are replete with many false and unfounded allegations meant to hurt the state of Israel." Cohen did not respond to a request for comment. Bensouda declined for comment. So this is mind-blowing. This is state-sponsored coercion,
state-sponsored
influence, interference in legal proceedings that have spanned over a decade. So this is not just recent.
So for people who don't understand, because I know the ICJ and ICC, these are just kind of new things for a lot of people.
Yeah,
that would be the equivalent of like Donald Trump having one of his lawyers or his cronies walk up to the judge in his trial right now and say, "Listen, it's probably better. Let us help you, and just drop this. If not, your security might be harmed or your families might be harmed, right?" And if you were that's basically a threat. It's a veiled threat to an officer of the law in that case, and so especially a judge, if these things carry like mandatory sentences, it's something you don't do, right? I mean,
I can't believe this is so crazy, bro.
Yeah,
and no one's gonna do anything about it. That's a funny thing.
No,
nothing's gonna happen,
right? Nothing will happen. Exactly. Nothing will happen.
Barely anyone's talking about it. It's. I mean, people who are interested in Gaza and Palestine are talking about. Mainstream media is not talking about it, other than The Guardian. This is like earth-shattering, and this is another thing that you gotta be mindful of. That a lot of these scandals and things that are happening at such a high rate that in any other day this would be huge news. Like 40 people being killed, babies being beheaded at a Rafah refugee camp. That's like, news that would span a month cycle of news, right? But it's just so fast, and this is one of, I'm imagining Israel's tactics.
30 people died in a landslide in Papua New Guinea, and it's made news, right? Yeah. But you have thousands of people that are dying, and they'll still try to overshadow it. Imagine, like, I'm not saying that the people in Papua New Guinea don't matter, right? What I'm saying, though, is that they're trying to stick everything at you to make you forget about, to take away from what's happening in Palestine.
No, but that's how you know how brainwashed people are, is that they're still talking about Hamas talking points on October 7th. When this kind of story comes out, a person with a rational mind will be like, "Oh, we get how deep this is. This goes real deep," but they're not going to think that way.
Yeah.
They're not going to think that way. They're actually so brainwashed.
No, what they're going to say is that, the the ICJ is not binding to America. These are anti-American people. Europe sucks. We don't like Europe, right? Europe is dumb. We're Americans.
Dumb.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they're going to say. That's really how they think.
This is crazy, bro. I mean,
it doesn't matter, man. They get away. They get it with everything, man. Just look at the state spokespeople for the U.S. Matt Miller,
Blinken,
that Indian guy. I don't know his name. Blinken, Kirby. Like, these guys go up and they talk every week, and they sound like absolute idiots, right? Just repeating the same old bullshit over and over and over again, right? Yep. It's constant garbage. It's like, but they have the right to defend themselves against Hamas, and they have the right. It's just constant. May I remind you what happened on October 7th? It's like, bro, nobody's buying your garbage, right? And even the reporters, it's like every week I see a different reporter flip out on Matt Miller. Every single week. It was Matt Lee last week. This week it was a British guy from the BBC.
I think
that
people,
guy, Syed, he's always flipping out on this guy.
And I think it's because people are saying, well, fine, we know that happened, but does that justify the killing of babies?
Mm-hmm.
Like, in no world is that, and it's just flip it. If that happened in the Ukraine, this is abhorrent.
Yeah.
How dare Russia kill innocent children? This is morally repugnant. Like, we have to stand against it. We're appalled by this behavior, right? Like, the language changes. But when it comes to this, but what they do is they engage in whataboutism. But what about October 7th? What about October 7th?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for the masses. But the way they compromised politicians, I mean, they showed proof of that right now, you know, of how the Mossad compromises politicians and prosecutors and judges and their families. Yeah. What the October 7th reminding is just for the masses to feed off of. But on the top level, they've it seems to be that they've compromised everything.
You know what else is crazy?
On the top level, they own everyone.
Yeah. Man. You know what's crazy? They had Nikki Haley go over to Israel and write.
Yep.
What was destroy them all or something?
She said finish them.
Finish them, right?
Yeah.
Imagine
finish them, and then she wrote down "America heart Israel" or something like that on this stupid bomb.
And I'm thinking in my head like,
bro.
I know. I mean, and I'm thinking like, imagine if someone, I don't know, went to I don't know. Let's say Bernie Sanders went to Palestine and get the occupiers or something, right?
Get the occupiers, bro.
Finish the occupiers, right? Anti-Semitism! How dare they get involved in those politics?
He's a Jew, self-hating
Jew. Right. It would be anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy to me that you would be that involved. And the funniest comment I saw about that was, I think it was that guy Hinckley. He's like, I'm in favor of deporting Nikki Haley back to her ancestral homeland.
Jackson Hinkle?
Yeah. Well, I think because she's going to India right now. She's there or whatever. And he's like, I support, deporting her back to their ancestral homeland. Since you're so worried about ancestral homeland to the Jews, you can go back to India, right? It's just funny, But it's just this constant double standard. And honestly, I think that's one of the reasons why the American government and the administration is getting so frustrated, because it's getting harder and harder to continually justify and have two polar opposite positions on the same situation by simply just removing which country it is. It becomes so hypocritical that they know themselves oh crap, we're gonna be called out on this next week, right? They know it's coming. They know they have to say it, knowing they're gonna be called out on it, and they can't do anything about it.
Oh, this is Nikki Haley.
And everything is Israel's investigating themselves. That's it. I was actually watching. I was coming home from judo today, and I don't know who it was. I think it was this. It's this Indian guy. I think the name of the channel is Jantaka Reporter or something like that. I watch this guy a lot. He was saying he was like, you want Israel to investigate themselves? I don't understand why the United States has courts. It's just whenever a criminal commits a crime, have him do the investigation, right? Since that's the way you like to handle things, and then let them come up with whether or not they need to go to jail or not. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's utter ridiculous. It's so incoherent. It's so hypocritical. It's so blatant that this is. Look, man. I think the hegemony, right? The just America, what America says goes line, and how the world just bows to it. I don't know how much longer this is going to be.
You have Nikki Haley here. The viewers can see on their screen. Nikki Haley is scribbling, finish them on shells that the IDF is about to fire into Rafah in defiance of the ICC. So here you have
you know who made those shells, right?
Who?
Boeing. The same Boeing that Nikki Haley was on the board of before she decided to run for president.
The same Boeing who's killed their witnesses.
All their whistleblowers.
All their whistleblowers.
Right. No, come on. One got sick, and the other one just, decided
to suicide.
Yeah, he just, tried to life for something and killed himself. Yeah.
That's all.
Unalived.
No, he literally said he had a message that he told his best friend, like, "Hey, I will never kill myself. If I find out dead, I've been killed."
Yeah. I mean, it's just so crazy to me, dude, that like that people will just look at this stuff and say, "Oh, well, it's October 7th. We have to do this." But here's some good news though. So apparently, remember after a few months ago, they were like, Israel comes out, yeah, we have taken full control of northern Gaza. It belongs to us, and now we've forced Hamas to be in southern Gaza and Rafah. They're over there now, and we have to go there. But lo and behold, there's intense fighting in Jabalia, right? The same area where... Is it Jabalia or Jabalia?
Jabalia.
Is it Jabalia? Yeah, some people are saying Jabalia. But anyways, yeah, I thought it was Jabalia. But anyways, but Jabalia, like, apparently they're saying that intense fighting happened where now, imagine they're claiming that they had purged that area, but yet they went in there for hostages, right? Really what they're doing is they didn't purge the area. Hamas is still there. They just purged it of civilians, right?
That's it.
So what happened was they're claiming now they were trying to get hostages, and the soldiers ended up becoming hostages themselves. They captured 3 of them.
No, these guys, all they're good at, they're not good at fighting El Qassam. They're terrible at fighting El Qassam. They're great at, slaughtering innocent people. Yeah. That's their bread and butter right there.
So what I say is there's 2 wars going on. There's one war against the civilians, which Israel is winning, and there's one war against Hamas, which they're losing. And if you know why, I'll give you an example. They just came out today, and they said, check this out, Sim. They said, based on the current situation, this is going to go on for another 7 to 8 months. So let me get this right. Rafah, which is like, it's tiny, bro. Gaza itself is tiny, right? The land they were talking about, meaning the area, it's not that big. And this is a fraction of Gaza. And you're going to take 8 months to fight Hamas that you allegedly have destroyed and killed all these commanders, all this stuff, and now it's mainly civilians, and you're going to spend 8 months? Like, in what world are you winning this war? I mean, I'm sure you're killing civilians, but you're not beating Hamas. Look, we've said this before, and I've said it, and I maintain this. If we're going to talk about, there's no winning and losing in the war. Everyone loses, right? But what you talk about is that, did you meet your objectives of war? And Netanyahu was very clear about his objectives before. He said, we want to eradicate, completely eliminate Hamas, and bring all the hostages home. If we use those 2 objectives as a measure of success or failure, right, then it's clear that Israel is failing. Hamas is still not gone. They have to re-enter Jabalia after they allegedly had cleared it completely. And which, by the way, Benny Gantz blames Netanyahu because they don't have a clear exit strategy, right? So he's saying that by June 6th, if they don't, he's going to resign, right? And that's causing tension, but that's a whole different story. And secondly, there's still, not only did they not get all the hostages back, Hamas got more hostages that are actually, in fact, IDF soldiers. They're not even innocent. They're actually soldiers now.
Which they will hold on for way longer.
They'll take 10,000 Palestinians out of those prisons for one of those Israeli pigs.
Oh, they won't.
No,
Netanyahu doesn't care about the idea.
No, they actually have done this before, bro.
I don't think they're going to do
that. That's why they have.
No, they already done it for the regular hostages. They did.
No, I'm talking about after this whole thing about Rafah.
I'm saying even recently they released a few hostages for like thousands of the hostages that were in the prison.
So the Israelis, what they do is they don't. What Sheikh is saying is that the Israelis have this policy where they don't want to negotiate because they know that when they give up the IDF soldiers, they have to give up a lot of Palestinian prisoners in exchange for one prisoner, right? So they let them die, actually. So they let them get if they could save them, they won't come and save.
Be taken as hostage.
Right.
But the thing is that now though is that what happens is when it comes to soldiers and the families get antsy in Israel.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of protests going on now.
They have to do something, right? So this is why they actually had Israel. If it could, they would want to eradicate all their hostages, so the hostages are not a problem anymore. They prefer all of them be dead, right? Because then they don't have to worry about negotiation or anything. But while they're alive, and this is why Hamas keeps releasing videos about them, saying, hey, look, they're alive, here's the thing, here's this, here's that. The families get antsy, right? And they keep making videos about
But do you think we're at the point, I'm sorry to be so pessimistic, do you think we're past that point now where whatever the people, even in Israel and Tel Aviv, no matter what protests they do, I have a feeling that what's happening now, they've gone too far. They're not going to listen to what these people have to say. They don't care about their families protesting. They don't care about the hostages anymore.
It's not that simple. Because it's just like American politics is complicated, Israeli politics is complicated. And if he doesn't listen to people in Israel, forget Palestinian Israelis, the Likud party will not last after this war. Yeah. So that's a problem for them. And
that's the reason why they keep pushing. They keep pushing because they know once it's all over, it's all over.
Like, think about that. If what that means, if Likud doesn't exist and Netanyahu can get power, he's going to jail. It's not just what he's doing here in the world. I'm talking about internally within Israel. There's a lot of stuff about him in Israel about corruption and all the stuff that he got saved from by being elected again. So if Likud goes down, and top of that with this whole thing about hostages and not doing enough to get them back, on top of the corruption charges, money laundering, he's going to jail. He has to work with his population.
Plot twist: what if Mossad kills him?
Huh?
Plot twist: what if Mossad kills him? At the end,
Mossad would kill him.
Netanyahu, yeah.
Why would they kill him?
So look, I'm not Alex Joning this, okay? But
it sounds like you are.
That's why I had to make a disclaimer.
You're doing
the frogs.
You're becoming Imran Hussein.
No, I'm not. I didn't say anything yet. I just said plot twist. Look, I think Netanyahu has understood that the whole world is against him, even his own people, and I think the Likud party knows that this is the last string, and they just have to do whatever they have to do. And I think it's going to be them against Israel, and they're going to end up killing him, or he's going to end up killing himself. So.
See, that's the thing. A lot of the people who are in high rankings in the IDF, they support the right wing Likud because they get to go out and blast Muslims.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. They're right wingers. There's no liberals in the IDF in the commanders. You have to be a ruthless, crazy right wing religious zealot to be in any position in the right wing. Just look at, imagine one of Netanyahu's cabinet members is someone that was too radical for the IDF.
Yeah.
Look, it was the right wing Israelis who took out Yitzhak Rabin.
Yeah.
Right?
Yitzhak Rabin was going to make a peace deal, and that's why when Netanyahu says, I'm the only one preventing Israel from being a state, the right wing embraces that. They need him there.
He's the poster boy. As much as the left wing, the Haaretz reading Israelis are, they need, it's either them or it's Netanyahu. Okay. And for them, it's like, Netanyahu's like, he puts the lipstick on the dressing.
I get it. So let's just say that this is the end of the Likud party. Okay, let's just say. So you guys saying the Likud party's not going to go away?
Not yet. At least.
No, I'm saying. But by the way, Likud is just. It's moderate in Israel politics.
No, I understand that.
So if Likud goes away, there's a very real chance that you have a more radical government that comes in.
Yes, I agree with that. And I understand that, and I think that's very possible. Also, look, the way that things are going. Again, I don't mean to be pessimistic, but it just after Rafah and the whole world understands about Rafah, and this threatening of the prosecutors and not having any. I have a feeling that nothing actually is going to come of this. It's just going to get worse and worse.
Yeah, but the thing is, what's
the
incentive for Mossad to kill Netanyahu, though? I don't understand where you're getting that from. Because Mossad gets to operate because they're crazy right-wingers. You understand? A person with a rational mind would say, hey, don't threaten, don't spy on America and other places. Mossad gets funding because of Netanyahu. They get to do more crazy activities because of Netanyahu. So it's actually the power. I don't
know. I have
the powers that be in Israel like Netanyahu's ideas.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I just wanted to comment to what Sheikh said, and I agree with you. Right? You feel desperate, right? You feel like nothing's ever going to change, but the thing is with the way things are going, like we need to show that we have a backbone, right? The Muslims, the people that are against all of this stuff, we need to show that we have a backbone, that we're not just going to be stepped on, that we're not going to accept the status quo, right? And the way things change is by putting that pressure, right? Showing them that we're not gonna lay down, right? Showing them that you decided that, you know, you're gonna sit back and let this genocide go, then, you know, we won't, you know, for Genocide Joe, we're not gonna, you know, and no Muslims are gonna vote for you. We will never vote for you, ever again, right? The Democrats are done. We're gonna sit on our hands, stay at home, and, you know, watch them take over. Because what happens whenever you do that, and you make it known that we're the reason why that happened, why you lost, what's gonna happen is you will never get super uber Zionists like in the Democrat Party like that ever again, right? Because they know we showed them that we have teeth. You know, you understand what I'm saying? Mm. So will it happen soon? Probably not, right? But will it gradually happen? Absolutely. Especially because it's you know, all these from the encampments to people interrupting all of these officials, to all, you know, everyone interrupting the Senate hearings, stopping the senators and congressmen while they're just going to lunch and just calling them out. It's all a bunch of young groups, right? It's all a bunch of college students and like, you know, really early, like really young kids. So this is going to be the new demographic, right? This is the new voting bloc. So it's all the old people that love Zionists and love Israel and have this dream of these oppressed people getting their own homeland. All of them are dying. You know what I mean? They're all dying or they're dead. So it's just a matter of time, man. It's just a matter of time.
Yep.
Here's the report.
Which report specifically?
The report that says the war in Gaza could last another 7 months, Israel warns. Sorry.
Like, literally, it's just tense. Who are you fighting?
Well, it's obvious, right? They're trying to strangle the people of Gaza. They're trying to make sure that
unlivable.
They're absolute terrorists.
What we're seeing right now,
that's the definition of terrorism. What they do.
What we're seeing now there is 40,000 on paper, right, from bombs.
Yeah.
But what at the end of you're looking at by the end of this 150,000 that just as a result of lack of access to clean water, lack of food, lack of medicine, just basic sanitary needs, starvation, lack of just nutrition in general, and shelter, and being exposed to elements and all kinds of different unlivable conditions. You're looking at incredible numbers. That's I think 150,000 to 200,000. That's like almost 5% of Gaza's population.
Yeah.
You
know.
And when we look back at it, right? For example, like when they look back at Churchill forcefully starving people, right? Or like Lord Mountbatten in the British Indian Empire, right? At that time they were like, yeah, we need to do this. No problem. People are complaining, but whatever. But history looks back and says these people were pure evil. Like they have to end up issuing apologies and never again. I mean, this kind of stuff, right? They'll have all kinds of commissions and everything to I mark my words, they're going to investigate this stuff. This is going to. It's not that the problem is that people who are going to do this, they cannot do it now for fear of reprisal from Israel, right? Right now, it's too risky for them to do it. But in the back of their minds, they know that there will be commissions. There will be, and that's why these people remind them. They say, "What are you going to say when these things come to light? Like, how are you going to defend this 10, 20 years? Are you going to be on the quote unquote the wrong side of history? Because history will. You can do what you want now, but history doesn't forget these things. People will document this. Young kids today who are growing up to be writers and political commentators and historians are going to write about how horrific this is, that we sat by and the world watched a genocide of a civilian population when the world could have stopped it.
The quote-unquote civilized world, right? The quote-unquote civilized West sat there and watched a genocide happen. And Ilan Pappé said it. He said it recently that the Zionist project is on its last legs. He does not see it lasting. You know what I mean? He blatantly said it. There's no way. He's like, this Zionist project is absolutely unsustainable. And at this point right now, it is literally, it's a failed project and it's on its way out. He's not saying it's going to happen immediately, right? But he's saying that the Zionist project is done. Now, what does that mean? That doesn't mean that, khalas, it's Palestine and it goes back to how it was before 1908, before, while the Ottomans ruled it, right? It's not like that. What that means is at least in his view, is that there will be one nation, one country where all the people live there equally with equal rights and freedoms.
Must watch.
So I don't know if you saw this guy on the Palestine News Network. Nader, he goes around and he gives people a hard time in the Capitol in Washington. I'm assuming he goes to the lobbies and stuff, and he heckles them basically. So he's agreed to be on a guest on the show as a guest next week. So I'm excited to announce that to
I'm pretty
you
excited
all.
about that.
He sounds like a pretty fun guy, but I want to give you guys
the guy's name?
I don't want to reveal it right now, but we'll wait for him to come on the show and talk about it. So
Sure.
let me give you guys a quick preview of why I find him so funny.
A little teaser. Give us a teaser.
And sorry. Here we go.
Police are pushing me out. Oh, this is the guy I've been looking for, sir. I've been looking for you, sir.
Want to pick a fight?
Sir. I have a question. What happened to your legs, sir? What on earth did a red triangle go over your head? What happened to your legs? I don't know what happened. Did a red triangle go over your head, sir?
You want to know what happens when they get stuck up somebody's ass?
What happens?
You want to know?
What happens?
I bet you'd like to find out.
Oh, is that a homophobic comment?
It's a comment.
It's a comment, sir. What happened to those legs of yours, sir? Are your peg legs?
Peg legs.
Oh my God!
So stand to the right or to the left. You understand?
He was talking to me.
No, you don't impede the member of Congress.
He
That's a
initiated-
federal offense.
He came up to me. I have it
I
on
don't care
camera,
what
sir.
you're- do not impede
Sir,
the
may
member of
I continue the conversation?
Wait, hold on. Pause.
Sir, I say, sir.
Yeah.
Do you say you can't berate? You can't make fun of a metal?
No, you can't impede the.
Impede mean get in the way. Okay, I thought it said berate. Like you can't. Like okay.
You can't.
No, pardon my ignorance. Who's the guy?
He's Brian Mast. He's the guy who showed up.
Who wears the IDF uniform?
He wore the IDF uniform.
What a coward.
Got it.
Yeah,
Got it.
So this is not some random disabled person. He's giving a hard time.
Yeah.
By the way,
This is
that guy
someone
is so there's a group of Jewish women that go in day in and day out to protest what's happening, and he'll tell them very flat out that we should send more bombs and we should kill more of them, and there's no single innocent babies are not innocent in Palestine. He'll say all kinds of horribly like arrogant, pompous things about like just the position that they have. So he's not some kind of poor disabled guy. That man lost his legs trying to kill innocent civilians.
Where's he congressman at?
He's in Washington D.C.
No, but I mean, what state is he?
Oh, what state?
I think it's like one of the. I think it's one of the Carolinas. I forgot. I don't know.
Whatever Muslim demographic is there, bro. They need to get together and make sure that dude, just gets buried in the next election. Just buried.
No need for that.
Like holy crap.
Yeah. And by the way, you know that guy that said you can't impede, right? He got in the way because he felt probably real pissed. He's calling him Pegger, right?
May I continue the conversation, sir? Sir, I say sir. Sir, I say sir. Wow, this guy, somebody check this guy's badge number, sir. You are dangerous. Sir, you're a danger to society. Sir, he came up to me, and I'm going to sue the federal government for false arrest, and I'm going to get rich, sir. Yeah, how about that? You have a butt on the bottom of your chin, sir. The bottom of your chin looks like a butt.
Oh my God, this guy, he's just too much.
What's the name of the channel? Is that
it's TikTok of Palestine News with
News Network? Or?
It's Palestine News, but the S is replaced with 3 Z's.
Okay, I gotta watch that guy. I never heard of this guy. That's amazing.
So I to be honest, I prefer that type of activity because you have to ridicule them.
You gotta ridicule them, but more. Well, one of the things that I don't know if you guys ever saw that one Star Wars series on Disney.
No.
You know what I'm talking about? Nader, do you watch Star Wars on Disney?
Clone Wars?
No, the other one. The one that it's more like political and stuff. It's the Mandalorian.
Oh, the Mandalorian, heck yeah.
There's a lot of like.
I just know it because my son watches it. So.
Yeah. It's amazing because people imagine the Empire with just the Darth Vader figurehead, like the Netanyahu, right, and his cronies, but they don't understand all the people who work, the normal-looking people who are working to make the system happen, right? Emperor Palpatine and Darth Vader, they seem like, the Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant, etc., right? But there's a whole lot of people who are supporting this structure. Tens and hundreds of thousands of people who are working concertedly to lift this system of oppression and to make it function and to enable it. And they have direct, they're profiting off of it working. And that Star Wars show, Mandalorian and the new ones that came out, they're more related to the actual inner workings of how the regular people in the empire are working against the people. And this is what this guy, the Palestine News Network, he just doesn't go after these like big name people like Brian Mass and stuff. He goes after the staffers and stuff all across DC. He starts asking them like, hey, what's your thoughts on Palestine? Can I have your thoughts set on Palestine? And they try to ignore him. They don't want to hear it. It's almost as if they're covering their ears and just going on because they don't want to even think about it. And it just shows that these people, they know what they're doing and what they're part of is oppression and genocide, and they're turning a blind eye towards it.
Can you do me a favor? Can you just play the clip that I just in the TMM chat? I think that'll be something. So it's by Abby Martin, who I think some people are familiar with. She did a lot of different things. She was on RT, then she went to her own thing, and she was on Vice News, and then she did Empire. Productions, whatever it is. Empire Files, right? She's still doing that right now, but she's been like on to the Palestinian thing since I think 2013. Like she's been like doing that, and I think that she really makes a really important point. Just to piggyback off what Sim was just mentioning, I think this clip right here really hits home. Like it drives the point home. Just play it a chance. I think he's just queuing it up.
But yes, there really is such a diminishing left in Israel. I mean, just look at the genocidal onslaught. Look at the polling. Less than 2% thought that Israel was using too much firepower in Gaza after they obliterated and decimated the entire Gaza Strip. Less than 2%. You go back to the 2014 onslaught in Gaza where 2,500 Palestinians were killed, 500 children. 95% of Israelis supported that. The open fire policy at this fortified border fence, overwhelming majority, over 90% of Israelis support that. There were some Israeli human rights advocates that tried to take that policy to the Knesset, and it was overwhelmingly, unanimously upheld. That no, we can shoot to kill unarmed people who are just straying too close to this border fence that essentially just prevents them from getting back to their ancestral lands. That's how fascist Israeli society is. I hate when I see politicians just trying to denounce Netanyahu as some sort of aberration from Israeli society. No, this is the norm. This is the norm. Look at every single cabinet minister. Every single member of the Knesset is out there spewing genocide, advocating mass murder. It is sick. It is sick. And I will never forgive journalists who are towing this line and pretending like this is some sort of aberration of the Likudniks and Netanyahu's. No, this is Israel. This is Israel. This is a settler colonial state founded upon ethnic cleansing. And it only exists because of the continuous ethnic cleansing of the indigenous population. And you have to have indoctrination from cradle to grave. And you have to espouse the most horrific dehumanizing language possible to paint those people as barbaric human animals, to condone and tolerate those policies against these people for 75 plus years. So that's Israeli society. I saw it firsthand. And people want to paint those interviews that I did oh, I'm trying to do a gotcha, oh, I'm trying to pick the most crazy sounding people. No, that's Israeli society. The left is non-existent, Ash.
Yeah, so what she's talking about is her documentary that she did.
Yeah.
Where this happened before October 7th, maybe a couple of years before October 7th. I can't remember the exact date, but it was a documentary she released where she went around Israel and asked them about what she thought about Palestinians, what the average Israeli thought about Palestinians. And these people, they thought of them in the same way the Nazis would have described the Jews. Rats and vermin, all kinds of horrible,
subhuman. Their babies
are. If you want to know the crimes of Israelis, just listen to their accusations. All you have to do, listen to their accusations, and it's they're listing out their crimes. Yes. They say that Palestinians are taught to hate Israel from school, right? They say the UNRWA schools have books. No, but Israeli schools literally do teach kids to hate Palestinians, right? To hate them from kindergarten all the way through, right?
Yeah.
And this is admitted from them constantly, right? It's absolute. It's what you call it. I say Israel is the narcissistic state, right? They never take blame, right? They never admit to any fault. Everything is our fault, is the Palestinians' fault. It's all on them, and everything they do is projection. Everything. Just listen to all the accusations they put on Palestine, on Palestinians, on Hamas. That Hamas uses human shields. Yet there's so many videos out there where you could see the IDF sending in people, right, to warn, to let people know, oh, they're coming in, and then that person will come out and they'll kill them, or they'll stand behind a Palestinian person as they're going into somebody's home. Every accusation is an admission.
Have you seen the Sami Zayn, being a WEE fan yourself?
Yeah.
Have you seen his clip of him?
I've seen a lot of his clips, but
no, he's like, apparently he recently went on WWE wearing a keffiyeh. Right? He wore a keffiyeh at the thing, at one of his events. I'm gonna go ahead.
Maybe it was in Saudi, but he constantly closed it out. Whenever he first started with WWE, I remember watching him come out with a Palestine shirt on.
So I'm gonna play.
That's dope, bro. When you see a Palestine shirt, on national TV, that's sick. You can't hate on that.
I'm gonna play his statement.
Go for it.
I don't know. They asked me to talk a little bit about what this means to me, and it's really, really, really hard to put into words. It really is. Just proud is the only word that comes to mind. I don't know, man. There's a part of me, because look, I understand that, I don't necessarily present myself as like Mr. Arab man every day, and like I think a lot of people probably don't even know that I'm Arab or that I'm Muslim. I realize that because it's not something I necessarily, it doesn't seem like a central part of my character, but the truth is it's a central part of who I am. And when you come to this part of the world, there's just a piece of me that feels whole in a way that I don't even know is missing until I get here. And to be able to come here as the Intercontinental Champion and represent my people, represent all the people of the Middle East as a champion, I can't tell you how proud that makes me. I guess that's all I've got for you. Pride. Fakhur. Allah yasalam yadaykum. Shukran.
Which Arab country is he from?
He's Syrian, right?
He's Syrian.
He's
from Syria, but he's but they were just in Saudi. That was just in Saudi.
Yeah, it happened in Saudi, but I think it's important. Like, so if people say, okay, he's just a wrestler, right? But it's important because remember, we talk about influence. And Jews and Zionists had influence because they were overrepresented in different facets of society, including media. And right now, media is probably the most powerful thing, more than academia, more than politics, more than anything. Media influences everything. right? I mean, that's social media specifically is what influenced the campus politics that they're talking about in Congress, everything, right? I mean, entire revolutions have been run by social media now. So when you have, like, what are the number of Arabs in the WWE? Very little.
Maybe one or two.
One or two. And the number of Muslims, maybe 4, right? But so to have someone, and then to have it done in Saudi, like these little things that you piece together, right? Like, yeah, people are knocking on Saudi for, you know, for right reasons, but it being in Saudi Arabia is a big deal too. Meaning that the idea of Muslims, like, again, it's about normalizing the Muslim experience, right? And it may not be the one that you share and we always agree with, but it's the fact that this idea, this identity of a Muslim is in your face. Like, the Jews that got in Hollywood and all these places, they're not typical Orthodox Jews.
Yeah, they're not.
They're not. They're not at all. They just represent as Jews. And if you go to any one of their Wikipedia pages, what's different about these characters, about Jews who are specifically Jews in positions, they mention that they come from a Jewish family, Jewish son of Jewish immigrants from Ukraine or Poland or whatever, right? Iraq. They'll say it very clearly because they want that to be reinforced. So they know that they're not actually practicing Jews or they're observant or even reformed. They don't care. They just want you to know that they're Jews. But it's laughable, but it's important. Because it forms the overrepresentation that we are contending with. So if you can have that happen in the Middle East and have Middle Easterners and Muslims alike, like for example, we have Mustafa Ali. He's right here from Bolingbrook, Illinois. Young kid I grew up with. I see with the masjid. But to see him on TV and he's talking about his experience as a Muslim, going to Saudi, I get to do Umrah as well too, and that adds to the idea that, hey, Muslims are here too, right? You have people in media, as little as these roles are, and as non-practicing as they may be, or practicing as they may be, all of that, just the very fact that there's a Muslim being mentioned, that they represent, they say, I'm a Muslim background, even that is sufficient. Yeah. Because it shows that it opposes the narrative that they've tried so hard to instill, that Muslims are savages, barbaric, uneducated, unaccomplished. They haven't invented anything. They haven't contributed anything. All these typical quote-unquote anti-Semitic tropes that they put on the Jews, they tried to put that on the Muslims. Exactly. So when you highlight these things,
every accusation is an admission.
Right. So when you highlight these things, it actually works against those stereotypes. Yeah. And that the framework they're trying to create.
Yeah, you know, the time, obviously they've gone so far that obviously they've been living in a very, very long honeymoon phase of getting the world to believe whatever they want. The world, a big portion of the world, a huge portion, probably 70 to 80% doesn't believe it anymore. Probably even more than that. But which was also really interesting when Dave Chappelle went to the UAE. And it seems like it's one of those things only Dave Chappelle can pull off, where he talked about Gaza's going through a genocide. And even though, again, UAE was trying very, very hard to kind of be the middleman and trying to show support and stuff to make sure that, you know, America and Israel would go back to normalization. And Dave Chappelle just goes there. He talks about it being a genocide, and the whole crowd was with him. And he made it to news. He made it to TMZ. He made it to all the different news outlets, even Independent. The Guardian reported on it. And it's just these little snippets of people going and dropping these little gems here and there that ends up solidifying what people's ideas, because the whole crowd was with him. The whole crowd was cheering with Dave Chappelle, with the exception of a few people I think that they heard, like, kind of showing. But hey, they're trying to, be very inclusive of free speech of Americans, and they came there and they...
But what I'm saying, it doesn't matter where he says it. Yeah. Just him being acknowledged that he's a Muslim, saying that is sufficient. Yeah. It could be anywhere. It could be in the middle of New York City. It could be in the middle of France. Doesn't matter. People recognize him as a Muslim. Yeah. And so it combats that narrative, right? It's really, really important that people understand that point. And what is this about? This is about... I like to use that reference from that movie, Any Given Sunday, right? Like, life is like football. you do it. It's not about the yards, inch for inch. You fight for every inch that you get, right, until you get that touchdown. But you have to take all the inches you can get.
Yeah, it's true.
And collectively, those inches as an ummah is what gets us across the line, right?
Yeah.
Like they can't, like, you cannot be. There's no time to be ashamed of being a Muslim.
Yeah.
Right? There's no place for that. We don't have the luxury of hiding that from anybody.
Yeah. No, and this changed a lot of that.
Yeah, I mean, and it's important.
Changed a lot of that.
And it doesn't matter if you're famous or not. Even you yourself, for example, at a micro level, at work, like when people say, "Oh, you know," just for example, like, "Hey, I was off the last PTO because it was Eid. I took 3 days off." Oh, some people do 1 day. I know I do 3 days. We have a 3-day holiday. You know, like just that enough open the comment. Oh, you're Muslim? Yeah, I'm Muslim, right? And then and everything I do, my work ethic, whatever. I'm not saying it's significant in the world. I'm just saying that at a micro level, they understand that hey, Muslims are in positions of leadership or they're contributors. They're part of our society, and that's important. You have to be vocal about being a Muslim. Yeah. This goes back to what Nader was saying, that you have to. That's in a way showing your teeth. That you're not gonna bully me into kind of hiding my identity and saying, "Oh, we want to sign." You know, no, we're very real about who we are, and we're cool. I mean, look, we have to normalize being different, and we talk about this a lot. Muslims are going to be different.
Yes, always.
We have a different thing about us. Fundamentally, from our religious perspective, we are different than the non-Muslims. And we take pride in that. It doesn't mean we're in contention with them or fighting them all the time. It doesn't mean that we have to berate them for that. But it means that we're very solid in our identity. And that's something the Jews have, by the way. The Jews know that they're different than other people. They've been but the difference between the Jew and us is that they were made to feel different. Right? They never thought they were different. They were made to feel different. That's why they're so offended by the Holocaust in Europe, because they felt like they were some part of that society. The Muslim knows that he's different from them. So embrace that.
No, even, I mean, this is kind of the same subject, but as far as Zionism and the Holocaust is concerned, there's like a whole new emergence of like people who are researching on social media about the actual numbers of the Holocaust, and like all these numbers coming out, and people are inadvertently and sometimes even beyond some of them don't even care. Some of them are openly anti-Semitic and they're proud of it.
Yeah.
There's that faction on Twitter. And then there's that faction. It's like, no, we're not anti-Semitic, but the Holocaust was...
That's the thing. The problem is that even despite how much evidence you bring towards that claim, that you have these people who are, for no other words, but they're incredibly racist towards Jews. It just takes away from that claim. So you could bring as much evidence as you want.
But I'm talking about the PR that Israel actually had. People are emboldened. So many people are emboldened.
Of course, yeah. I mean,
that's my point. Yeah,
and also on X, it's now a bit more looser than the previous version of Twitter.
Yeah.
So before all that stuff would get shut down and those accounts would be banned, it's a bit more free speech.
Yeah. So, by the way, I am definitely not in the camp that the Holocaust didn't happen. But
Here we go. See,
no.
Wow. He's not.
I know. But he's gonna talk about the numbers though.
No, but I'm saying I have no problem with someone questioning the number of 6 million people. And whether it was intentional or not, I have no problem with that at all, because history has the right to be questioned.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. And
before it didn't. Now it does.
Especially since a lot of it is rooted in emotionalism. Right? You have movies like Schindler's List and all these movies, like you have, and Diary of Anne Frank, and you start, all these things that add to the narrative, right? That just, it's so emotional that you can't question it, right?
Yep.
It's abhorrent, right? But I think like any type of historical event, it needs to be investigated, and people can come to their own conclusions. History is something where all it is you present the narrative and the information you have, and people research and they choose to either accept it or deny it, right?
That's why you have the Senate Senate, bro.
But what I'm saying though is that and the reality is that a lot of the isnad in they're not reliable, right?
It's
in
all
a lot of
hearsay.
cases,
It's all hearsay,
right?
None
And
of
so,
it-
but the point is, but here's my thing. That is not going to, in any way, shape, or form, change what's happening politically. You can do that to make, to annoy them or whatever, right? But in reality, they know it. Let's say it is right what you're saying about the numbers and all the stuff, right? That means no one knows that more than them. You're not going to convince them, right? They're using it because what they've done then is they're using it for their own benefit.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not going to change the situation.
It's not going to change the situation in a certain level, but it will change the sentiment that people once had, the fear of saying certain things, and the opinion that you had. Like, it's falling out pretty fast and pretty hard compared to the 8 months ago. It's getting really bad for them.
What you brought up just now, my son was talking to me about it just a few days ago. And I just told him, like, hey, look, I know there's arguments about this stuff, but a lot of it is coming from a certain group of people who are white nationalists. And you have to be careful as a Muslim, just because that you have a common enemy in the Zionists, that you don't fall into the evil of white nationalism.
Yes, sir.
You don't become the same evil that you're fighting against.
Yes, sir.
You know.
Agreed.
So that's so important. I think that's really important because a lot of Muslims are following white nationalist accounts, and because they see people supporting their message against Palestine or for Palestine, and you're like, oh wow, this person has a sense of justice, which a lot of them do as well. But you can't just say, hey, you know what? Because you supported my message on this side, I'm going to take all the other crap baggage that you have as well, because they have a lot of terrible ideas.
Of course,
a lot of horrible ideas towards Muslims as well.
But if you've noticed this one thing, look, and I'm not supporting this by any means. If you notice that every demographic has its own fallout, which they didn't have 8 months ago, they weren't talking about openly. Like the white nationalists are talking about this. The Muslims are obviously talking about this. The Arab nationalists are actually having this type of fallout. The people who are involved in politics in Washington, some of them are having this fallout. The college students are having this type of fallout. Yeah. So this whole it's like a, we're talking about the support system that every empire has. The support system that was made up of civilians is falling apart on every level too. Yeah. Right? And that was a big part of the glamour and the glitter that Israel once had, and that's gone now.
So I think
there's no reversing it.
I think, by the way, it's not only white nationalists that have made this argument, and I think that's part of Zionist conditioning. That if people who are making these arguments about the historicity of these events are white nationalists or Nazis and Zionists, right? And that's not true. There are a lot of historians who do have a different take about,
you're right,
about why there were if there were gas chambers or not, or if there was this or not, the number that they were. Why are you laughing? I don't understand why it's so funny.
Because I just talked about it. I was like, look, there's an emergence of people. He's just unloading everything right now.
No, I'm just saying that this is not a new
it's
thing.
Beautiful.
Though.
I know. I'm just saying it's beautiful that people are brave to talk about this now.
No, but I'm saying, it's not. I don't think we ever shied away from it.
That's all.
No, it's just that I just feel like it's not important.
Question these things,
because people use things like the Armenians used it for the genocide, for them to talk about the Turks, right? Yeah. I mean, and to be honest, Muslims have used things that have happened to them to just justify their causes too, right?
Bro, I'm not laughing at you, bro.
No, I'm not saying laughing at me. I'm saying I don't think it's like. I mean, I don't know why it's like.
No, I think he's laughing at the idea that we're even having this
conversation because I just said it and I thought it was going to end right there.
No, but that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I don't see why it's like so shocking. Like, I mean, these are things.
It's not shocking, but you're still talking about it. So that's interesting.
Because we're circling back to our initial conversation. The influence or control that Zionists have. That's why.
Yeah, so
that's why it's so shocking to question these things.
Oh, I don't know. I guess. I don't know. For me, I guess I'm used to talking about these things, so it doesn't really shock me. But the point being is that it's not just white nationalists, right? For example, there is a wonderful documentary I encourage people to watch called Battle for Europa, right? It's a really, they go into a lot of history. Some of it you have to, and I agree with what Sim says. You have to also be able to discern and take things with a grain of salt and do your own research. The best way to really come to terms with a topic is you see what both sides are saying, and the truth is somewhere in the middle, right? It's somewhere in the middle of what it was. And one thing we can say is that the Europeans that kicked out the Jews were not all innocent, and neither were the Jews they were not innocent in that. And by their own admission, they were not. They were involved in all kinds of degenerate things in Germany and Europe in terms of money laundering, loan sharking, prostitution, gambling. I mean, all kinds of things that they were really doing. And so, does that justify a genocide of people? No, I'm not saying it does, but what I'm saying is that there's not an innocence there's no completely innocent party in this entire situation. Right. War is war. But they found a way to milk the situation, because you want to talk about World War II. Who are the real victims? Or, I guess, the greater victims? It's the Russians, right? They lost 60 million people. The 20 million people they lost, right? Fighting Nazi Germany. They put their blood, sweat, and tears on the line, right? Does anyone talk about how they suffered for that? No, they don't. Right? They fought Nazi Germany. Why? Because Americans believe they have a different set of values. They're communists, right? So they're not their lives don't really matter, right? So what I'm trying to say is that agree or disagree. A lot of people lost their lives. It was a world war. Right. It wasn't a Jewish war. It was a world war, right? A lot of people died. Boundaries were being changed. Nations were being developed. Things like this happen, and I think it's nobody should shy away from investigating history and knowing what it says. Yeah, on both sides. I agree. And so the point is now, if people want to do that, do it by all means, but don't use that as a way to try to, to condemn Israel now, because it's not going to work, because they're different people. These are like descendants of them. They have a whole different... there are people who descend from these individuals like Norman Finkelstein, who have a totally different view about Israel. These people will use anything, whether it's the Holocaust, they want to say, or now they have October 7th. Yeah. Right? So they're going to find anything to justify their treatment of non-Israelis, non-Zionists. And it doesn't matter what you say about it. This is so talking about that, you're not going to convince even the Americans who support Israel, right? Even some of them have questions about it. But it's not an argument of politics for them. It's an argument of two things: Christian Zionism, and number two, they are better partners for us in the Middle East than any other country. Mm-hmm. That's how they look at it. They know it's wrong, but they say, "Listen, we don't think we have a better option." No.
It's an extension of
them. Yes,
it's an extension of the United States.
They look like us. They think like us. They're free like us. They allow sodomy like us. They allow divorce. All this crazy stuff they allow just like us.
I don't know if you guys ever heard of Richard Medhurst. This guy's amazing. I think he's like half Saudi on one side of his family, and all he does is put out videos against these Zionists, right? And he put out a video the other day mentioning all of the Israeli leaders, all of the Israeli prime ministers, and how none of them actually had, how they all changed their name to sound more Middle Eastern.
Including Netanyahu.
Netanyahu's real last name is Malachowski.
Yeah, what was it?
Malachowski.
Yeah, some Polish name. Yeah.
That's Netanyahu's real last name. Yeah. Like they all did it. They're all Europeans, bro.
Yeah, I think his father changed it.
Extension of the American. It's the same thing as whenever America came here, right? What is it? American exceptionalism. Mm-hmm. It's the same. It's the same BS. It's the same garbage. So that's what it is, right? They look like us. We really don't benefit from them. Let's be real here. We really don't benefit from them at all, right? They're like the 50th. They're our 50th trade partner, right? When it comes to America. It's just in reality, bro, the lobby is so gangster about it, right? In the worst way possible. And the Christian Zionists. Really, that's what it is. You know what I mean? That's why the Republicans are so gung-ho, because of the Christian Zionists, right? And the lobby. And the Democrats are so gung-ho because of the lobby. That's what it is. That lobby, man. Like, look at what's the guy that almost died when he was running for Senate, Fetterman, right? That guy. Yeah. Fetterman, when he was running, they literally wrote a letter to AIPAC saying, "Hey, just give us what. Here's our position on Israel. Tell us whatever you want us to change. Tell us whatever you want us to say, and we'll do it, and we'll say it." Why? Yeah. Because they're so terrified. They're so terrified of them putting their money against them.
Yeah. By the way, his name is Malachowski.
Malachowski.
Yeah, because he's I knew he was a little different. It's a Polish last name.
Yeah. All right. Our final story is Erdogan calls on the Islamic world to take action over Gaza. It's been reported on various news outlets. Turkish President Erdogan on Wednesday hit out at the United Nations and called on the Islamic world to react after the latest deadly Israeli strikes in Gaza. The UN cannot... What are you waiting for to act? The spirit of the United Nations is dead in Gaza, Erdogan told lawmakers from his AKP party. Erdogan's comments came as the UN Security Council met to discuss a deadly Israeli attack on a displacement camp west of Rafah on Tuesday that killed 21 people, according to a civil defense official in Hamas Gaza. The Turkish leader also hit out at fellow Muslim majority countries for failing to take common action over the Israeli strike. I have some words to say to the Islamic world. What are you waiting for to take a common decision? Erdogan, who leads a Muslim majority country of 85 million people, told lawmakers from his AKP party. Israel is just not a threat to Gaza, but to all humanity, he said. No state is safe as long as Israel does not follow international law and does not feel bound by international law, Erdogan added, repeating an accusation that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. He further adds in a separate commentary that I believe this one didn't have everything in here, but he's basically saying in that same speech he talks about how the American empire has expanded all around its country, all around Europe and in the Muslim world, and how we're basically in a kind of a checkmate situation where the American empire has expanded to such an extent that every country has American bases in it, and that we're kind of handcuffed. I think that's what he's trying to say, that we have America kind of...
Listen, bro, I'm not buying the bullshit.
No, was he being rhetorical with the Islamic world to move, or is he telling everyone to move?
Bro, listen, I'm tired of the bullshit. I don't know, cut it out, bro. it's all bullshit. It's just words. Dude, you do business with Israel, asshole. Like, I don't care what you're... At this point, I'm tired of words, bro. I'm tired of that shit. You got young kids at college risking they're walking away from having a degree.
Yeah.
A whole life away.
Yeah, their whole future.
And you're telling, wake up, Muslim world. Wake up, please wake up.
Who's the leader of the Muslim world? You are.
Yeah.
You're the leader. I mean, you and Pakistan, who are nuclear power countries, you guys are all the leaders. Who else are you looking for to lead? You want Iran to lead? Who you don't like? By the way,
no. When he says Muslim Islamic world, like, I don't know who. When I read that, I was like, who is he actually trying to refer to? Who's he talking about?
He should be talking about himself.
No, I know, but well, he's gonna tell Egypt. He's gonna tell Egypt. Who's he gonna tell Jordan? Like Beirut? Who's gonna tell Beirut to move?
Absolutely.
I mean, the thing is with Erdogan, it's wake up. Like, what is he asking people to do? Like, what does he want?
He's saving face. He's saving reputation.
You are the most powerful Muslim country. Literally, you're the most powerful Muslim country in the region. You have the best Muslim army there, right? Now, credit where credit's due. They finally cut off all the exports. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah.
Didn't they cut off all the exports?
They stopped the exports through Israel.
Yeah. So they at least did that. At least they did that.
That's after getting killed. That's after they got killed in the elections. That their own bases stopped supporting them. The AKP voters stopped voting for them in their strongest areas in Istanbul.
Because they weren't doing anything?
Yeah.
Is that good? Good.
Yeah.
That's the community coming up and putting pressure on leadership, right?
Yeah. No, there's
then what else does he want? Like, bro, you got the most powerful army there. Do something.
No, what it comes down to is this. You know, in Arabic, there's a phrase about waqad qil. You know, at least it was said. Like the last hope you have to save some type of face and reputation, you have to say something, even though everyone disagrees with you. It's going to go on record that at least you said something, and that's kind of going to mitigate like 0.1% of the damage that you're taking. You know what I'm saying? Like, something he had to say. It sounds really cool. Like, you read the headline, it's like, whoa. He just wanted the original whoa, and there's a small percentage of people that still think he's really cool. But in reality, it's just he just had to say it. He probably had to call Washington and be like, "Hey guys, I'm going to say this. Just let me say it, please. I got to save my face."
Muslim leadership is the weakness is disgusting. You know what I mean? It's utterly disgusting. It's so pathetic.
Yep.
It's so pathetic.
Yeah, so when I hear that nonsense, I'm like, I'm done feeling good, right? Like, I'm done with the feel good stuff.
Yeah,
I know people want to take it and say, oh, yeah, it's a great thing you say and blah, 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 but I'm just over it, dude.
Yeah, bro.
If you're going to do something, be about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't talk about it, be about it.
Right. It's just because it doesn't. What it does is that, you know. To be honest, I was thinking about this. It actually further humiliates the Muslims.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because Israel will say, "Aha! Look, they're saying to do something, and not one of them fear they can do something. They all fear us. Haha! Stupid idiots."
That's exactly what it is.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, and then, like that means whatever they say is not to be taken serious.
Yeah.
Yep.
No one takes you serious if you don't. Like, that's the whole thing about Obama, right? People were pissed off that he told, "Oh, hey, Assad, there's a red line there if you use the chemicals," and he does it and doesn't do anything. People are like, "Oh, stupid idiot, Obama," you know, like dummy. Do you know what I mean?
Biden
like,
said that about Rafah.
Yeah, same
about
thing.
the red line in Rafah.
Yeah,
there's no red line.
They had to say it.
Yeah.
He just had to say it.
People
put on record.
just
That's
they
it.
don't believe it
Not gonna
anymore,
do
right?
anything. Yeah.
And so that's the whole point, man. It's just nonsense, dude.
Now, what's going to happen when Putin finds out? Oh, there's no red line. The red lines don't mean anything.
Oh, dude, what do you think he's doing? He's ramping up in Ukraine. Not only that, what do you think China's going to do to Taiwan?
Yeah, this is the empire is cracking at its seams. Yeah. They don't know it yet because they're just too ingrained in everyone around them being yes men and people.
You don't think they see it?
No, I don't think they do.
No,
I don't think they do. But there are intelligent people in the empire who know, like, hey, we're messing up big time, and they're the ones who are kind of telling, hey, add the pressure on Israel, take the filters off of CNN, so that CNN is even also blasting the genocide allegations and playing the scenes of what's happening in Rafah. Why is this all happening? Because there are people in the empire who are saying, hey, you know what, this is bad for us. There's still a few people. These media companies are centralized. They're conglomerates. There's usually one guy at the top. They need to make sure that he's like a Rupert Murdoch type of person who's kind of like that puppet master who kind of turns the knob lower on certain type of heat. Some people are getting it and some people aren't getting. So great movie or show to watch is Succession, about that on HBO. It's usually it's kind of like a parallel off of Rupert Murdoch's life, who and you'll see like the influence that politicians have on these media companies and how they manipulate public thought and who gets the proper amount of pressure in society and who doesn't. Yeah,
it looks like we have a wonderful expert in chat who's saying that we're all stupid and we don't know what we're talking about. We don't know what's going on. So, listen, bro, you're free to believe what you want to believe. If you believe that Erdogan is somehow the savior of the Muslims and he's doing everything he can do for the Muslims, God help you. All right, I think we've go check our previous episodes. And just know the difference between these two things. All right, we're not here to explain deep politics to you. You're free to have your opinions. You can call us stupid or whatever. But the bottom line is that there's a difference between us and Erdogan. We don't control countries. We don't have armies. We don't have power. We don't control economies. Right? And we're not the one making statements saying, "Oh, Muslims, do something of the world. Unite, oh, leaders of the world." No one's saying that here. We understand the reality of who these leaders are and what they represent. We're not going to make a call to leaders who don't have Islam as their interest. Right? We're tired of the bullshit. I don't know any other way to say it. Like, I just don't know. There's no politically correct way of saying it. It's all bullshit.
There is no nicer way of saying it.
Yeah, like, I know I'm raining on your parade. And I know you have a great leader in Erdogan. You guys thought he was going to unite the world, and he's going to be the neo-Ottoman, Khalif, and we're all going to unite. It's all nonsense. Let me tell you, if there's one thing that Erdogan could have done that has nothing to do with any other country, just stop the oil pipeline from Baku. One thing, stop. Do you know that over 70% of Israel's oil doesn't come from the Arabs? It comes from the pipeline that comes from Azerbaijan through Turkey. So you know how much damage Erdogan could have done by just shutting off a pipeline? A pipeline! I'm not saying go to war with them to send the military. No, just turn the damn knob.
Yeah.
And this genius in chat wants to say, "Oh, what are you talking about? You guys don't know. You guys don't know."
Who cares, dude?
Delusional Muslims who think that this is a part of the problem. No, it's not just about him. This is an attitude that we have a problem with.
That's true.
You put your faith in leaders that bullshit to your face all the time.
Yeah.
If you don't hold them accountable, they'll never be accountable. They're going to continue to bullshit and laugh in your face. And that's what they're going to do.
They're just using you. And this is what we've been trying to teach our listeners, despite so many people supporting Erdogan. We try to, show the good things about him and how he is working to bring Islam back in Turkey, and etc. But we knew all along in the back of our minds that we knew that this guy, he's a politician at the end of the day, and he's using Islam to further his own interests and speak from both sides of his mouth, talk the game to the secularists, talk to say the right words to the practicing Muslims in Turkey, and at the end of the day, you do nothing. You say the right things about Israel to a certain crowd, and then you tell the people who have the business deals with Israelis in Turkish society, hey, you know what? I just got to say this. I got to say that. Ignore that
to get the pressure off.
So this is how politicians work. And
let me say that if I lose the elections, you can't do your business. So just let me say it.
Yeah.
Shh. Don't say too much. It's like that wink. Hey, I'm winking at you guys. Free Palestine, wink.
This is exactly. I was driving with Sami Hamdi when he came in town, and I was telling him, "Hey, look, you have Erdogan who's shaking his fist. He's in front of millions of protesters in Turkey, shaking his fist at and wearing the Palestinian flag around his neck, and he's blasting Israel. And there's a MBS who's banning the kifaya from even being brought in by people who are doing Hajj and Umrah." Or Umrah, at least at that time, and the Hajj leaders were being told to tell their people in their congregation, in their camp, that, hey, make sure that you don't bring any kafiyas. They're clamping down on it. Both of them have two polar opposites attitudes towards Palestine, right? And both of them are doing absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Actually, you know what's crazy? I'm starting to respect MBS more. And I'll tell you why. At least he's honest about it.
Yeah.
He didn't come and tell you, listen, I don't give a damn.
It's like Democrats and Republicans.
Yeah, I don't give a damn. I know what to expect out of him, is what I mean. Right? Mm-hmm. I'm tired of the theatrics.
I got you.
I don't care if Erdogan eats kanafa and does debka. He's not freeing Palestine, bro.
You don't want the guys to come and say, you can't talk bad about the leaders.
Yeah.
Look, this is the only show. I'm sorry to say, this is the only show that's teaching you how to think politically about these people and how to approach political thought and how to analyze these events. Because all the other morons out there, they're just telling you to be another lemming in their political games and theatrics. And if you can't understand the value in that, I don't know what will. God help you, and your support for Iran or Erdogan
Russia
or MBS or whoever, Imran Khan or not Imran Khan, Imran Hussein thinks is the leader
alliance of the Muslims.
What did he say in the interview? He thought that Putin is the best leader in the world. It's just stupid thoughts like this, bro. You haven't improved the political thinking of Muslims at all.
All you've done is chosen one camp over the other.
Yeah. Just created more legions of morons,
right?
All across, all these legions of morons, Sheikh. Come on, man. They're just all these institutions, throughout the Muslim world, pumping out scholars after scholars. Oh, that's going to fix the problem. We need more scholars. Mm-hmm. Like, dude, these guys are. What are they doing? They're going back into the system,
and they're Mossad. We need more.
You're building more cogs for the empire. That's all you're doing. They're not thinking. They're not thinking how to think politically in the best interest of Islam, not in the best interest of their local politicians.
You know what made Muslim leaders excel above other leaders in history? That they were held to account. When Umar bin Khattab stood up and a woman corrected him about Mahr.
Yeah.
That's what made him a great leader. He didn't bring the mukhabarat to offer silently and then say, we champion women's rights. No, he didn't do that. He said, you know what, fine, you're right. Omar was corrected by a woman today.
You know, it's so awesome that you mentioned that. You know, when
Not only that, before, sorry, I don't
No, please.
But even when they were distributing ghanaim, and there was cloth, they get one the booty of war. People got one sheet of cloth, and they saw that Omar got two, and they said, "Wait a minute! How did you get two?" Right, and then his son had to testify, saying, "My father is Rajulun, he's a tall man, and I gave him my share."
Yeah. Yes, it's so the two.
So they brought muhasaba, accountability, and if you can't bring your leaders to account for saying something, then that means they're a bad leader.
Look, the
Which
verse.
there are absolutely no leaders on the face of the earth right now that is that. There aren't even imams in masajid that can take that, let alone leaders of countries.
Nope. Everyone has that arrogant. Look, the verse you're talking about, the verse that made Umar radiallahu anhu sick. Waqifuhum innahum in Surah Safat, where Allah says, "Waqifuhum innahum mas'ulun." Stand them, take them into account because they're responsible. Umar radiallahu anhu was sick by hearing this, by this verse, right? So why were the people like that? It's not like he was like, oh, they got me. He's like, yes, I did my job. I trained them to even hold me to account, right? And then Allah says later on, the verse is referring to the angels also, but to us to take ourselves to account. But Allah will say to them, didn't you claim to help? You were going to help one another, but you didn't, right? So take them and drag them into the hellfire, right? But waqifuhum innahum mas'ulun. That's the verse that made Umar very, very scared, because it's stop them, waqifuhum, stop them in their tracks and hold them to account, right? Because if you don't, Umar is thinking in his mind, if I don't, then the angels are going to take me to account. So I need to surround myself with people that take me into account before I die, or else the angels are going to take me to account, right? That's the type of leadership that we're talking about. Now, the reason why we're bringing these people up is they know how to parrot the culture of traditional Islam, of the likes of Omar saying those things that sound cool, but in reality it's just a bunch of BS. That's all it is. It's just a bunch of BS. The scary thing is they know the right things to say. And I can completely agree with what you're saying, is that when you have scholars, I've heard scholars say that, hey, this is political Islam. Don't talk about political Islam. This is what leads to terrorism. This is what leads to radicalism. Even their understanding of political Islam is skewed. How do you tell the common public, if you went and got training in Islam, people are depending on you to understand the Quran, and you're the representative of Allah and His Rasul, what face are you going to show? Forget about Allah and Rasul for right now. And I mean that in the most respect. I'm saying people in front of you and your children, if they ask you about political Islam, you're going to tell them, and how dare you tell them, hey, don't talk about that because that's not a part of Islam. That's what starts radicalism. You've, like you said, you're going to join the camps, right? The camps that the narrative that people laid out about Islam and political Islam, they don't even know it, some of them. I think a majority of them. And they're making you fit into a narrative that's been created about Muslims. Like, how simple-minded can you be? And how, like, what did you learn when you're going through the chapters of actual politics in Islam and fiqh? Yeah. Like, you claim to specialize in fiqh, right? I'm not talking about you. I'm just talking about people in general that I've heard this from. People who are much more senior than me, right? Who've put a lot more years in than me. How are they going to tell people and get rid of all of those chapters in fiqh that have to do with being a judge, politics, that have to do with politics, rules of engagement in foreign policy? When you go to a different land and you're a minority, what type of rhetoric do you have with these people when the Khalifa sends an expedition of people to represent Islam to go and talk to the leader in his palace? What are they saying to them? Hey, go fix your akhlaq. Is that what they're saying to them?
Yeah, akhi, this is fiqh al-aqaliyya.
No, but this is something we have to ask ourselves, right? Because if we're talking about jihad and if we're talking about da'wah, what if everyone is responsible for da'wah, what's the da'wah of a Muslim ruler? Forget about the word khalifa, forget about all that. Somebody who is a Muslim ruler, what is his job in da'wah? Does he go to another entity and send letters, like Muhammad sent letters to all these entities? Does he send letters to them and be like, hey, you're good the way you are. We're going to do lots of trade relations with you. Just fix your akhlaq, because Muhammad sent
his job was to join NATO. That's the job of the Muslim leader.
Like, what was he saying to them? what was the precedent that Umar had sent? What's the point of talking about all these Sahaba that were in ripped clothing, that were walking in palaces with their spears digging into the
Facing
Persian
down.
rugs?
Yeah.
Yes, facing down.
Abdullah bin Hadar.
Exactly. What was he saying to them? He's like, listen, we've come to tell you about a great message that our messenger sent us, and this message is going to spread to you. So we're going to give you 3 choices.
Does it take you away from the worship of creation to the worship of Creator?
The one who created.
And from the limitedness of this world to the vastness of the hereafter?
Yes, exactly. Right?
And
this happened in multiple instances. It wasn't just Hudhafa.
And from the injustice
Yes.
of this world to the justice of Islam.
Jazakallah khairan.
Yeah.
And this happened on multiple occasions. So there's no way that you're going to tell somebody that Umar radiallahu anh was radicalizing the ummah because he followed the footsteps of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, actually, when he sent the letter to Persia and they ripped up so Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam sent the Sahabi to Persia and to Kisra to to either become Muslim and you're safe, basically, right? And that emperor ripped up the letter. So Rasulullah said, "Mazzaq Allahu mulkahu." May Allah rip up his mulk, right? This was the attitude in da'wah of Rasulullah, right? But look, we're talking about leaders to leaders, because even a leader has to do da'wah. You're not going to go and tell people that, hey, just don't talk about political Islam. Dude, we're doing the biggest injustice. And I think to give you fairness, if that's what you're referring to, is you're fitting into a narrative. You're just joining a camp instead of being uniquely Muslim. Right?
So I have a question. So some of these people will tell you that we're doing this because we're imploring and we're appealing to pragmatism, right? But my question to them is, what has this pragmatism got you? If anything, we've become more humiliated. Mm-hmm. We've lost more Muslim lives. We've lost our economic independence. We've lost the majority of our military independence. If any nation that had it, that had a military-industrial complex, has lost it, right? If anything, you've lost influence.
More than ever.
More than ever. So what has this pragmatism got you?
It's been over 130 years of humiliation.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah, so, and the funny thing is that Western societies are already, for the most part, many Americans have lost complete interest in their ability to practice the democratic process. They're like, they don't care about me. Yeah. And they know that truth. But we as Muslims, we're like, well, we got to fight for our rights.
Humiliation.
You know?
Complete humiliation.
I mean, we gotta beg them and make sure that, we're represented in our White House iftars.
Yeah.
Complete humiliation. And on the parallel, and not that they're perfect, but on the parallel, people who were not pragmatic or as pragmatic, like the Taliban, end up getting power back in 17 years. Waltzing in casually, fashionably late in Doha, strutting around, making the Americans wait to hand them power back over to their own country.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy. That's
so
crazy.
Pragmatism got you to destroy your country, impoverish your country, and taking the opposite approach allowed you to reclaim your country.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm not saying the Taliban is perfect, but in that regard, they outshine any of these people.
No, it's worth the study. It's worth a case study to everything that happened. It's definitely worth a case study.
They didn't take shortcuts. They didn't. They said, we won't hand over bin Laden to you.
Yeah.
They said, hey, show us the evidence. If he did it, show us the evidence. We'll put him on trial. As any responsible state would. We'll put him on trial. You
want Israel to put themselves on trial? I mean, what the hell? Why can't they put themselves on trial?
Yeah, that's true.
It's amazing. All right, that's our show for tonight. Thank you, Nader. Everyone support Islam by Touch. Is it islambytouch.com, Nader?
islambytouch.com. Make sure you guys go check it out. And if you guys want to learn more about the beginnings of the whole the whole Palestine issue, right? I actually started up a shorts channel on YouTube. It's under the name The Blind Truth, which is my AKA, right? But if you look up at The Blind Truth, there's a bunch of shorts that will walk you through the whole beginning of the Zionist movement up until 1948, and it's going to go further, inshallah.
That's really anti-Semitic of you, Nader.
By the way, the Sound of Sira also.
Wait, thanks for the compliment.
The Sound of Sira,
Yeah,
I think season 5 of Sound of Sira is coming. It just came out like 3 weeks ago.
New episode of Sound of Sira came out. Sound of Sira is popping off, alhamdulillah.
It is. It's beautiful.
There's a lot going on, man, you know, so support any way you can. But since we talked a lot about Palestine, go check out the Blind Truth YouTube channel. Go check out the Sound of Sira YouTube channel, because if you want to really feel what you know, what it's like, I mean, just listen to the Sira of Rasulullah, how you know, how he is being shut down all because he's calling to La ilaha illallah. That's literally, you know, what we do just for calling for a genocide to stop. We get shut down.
Nader, we love you. We'll see you next time, everyone. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
I want their leader brought here. I want him brought to me. I want the revolution crushed.